Exactly. How much did JMU benefit from making the college football playoffs last year? Locked on Sunbelt.
You are Locked on Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked on Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code Locked On to get $10 when you trade $10. All right, Skyler Meade gets a raise. Troy baseball coach and extension. Ken Rogers says he's the highest paid baseball coach in the Sunbelt. Louisiana Tech and ULM create the I-20 Showdown. And the college football playoff paying off for a JMU. What a day it was in the Sunbelt on just a Tuesday. All right, so this comes from Kurt Dudley. We're going to put this up there. Kurt, the director of broadcasting emeritus and broadcaster for the JMU Dukes, tweeted this out. I did look, I'll be honest with you, I did look for the video of the, maybe posted tomorrow or something like that. But Kurt Dudley, in his address to faculty, staff, and community partners, Dudley tweeted this out. All right. In his address to faculty, staff, and community partners, JMU President Jim Schmidt, as the 26-27 academic year begins, said that in the 2 weeks up to the college football appearance, $330 million of advertising was generated and more than 1 billion impressions. You can't pay for that. You can't make that up. All right. That's why making the college football playoff for the G6 or the Sun Belt is so important. Would winning a national championship be off the chains? You bet. Would a Final Four run be amazing like FAU had a couple years ago? You bet. The thing is that keeps on growing. When you win the first weekend, you make the Sweet 16, then you get 2 weeks leading into the Final Four. Absolutely. So that lasts a month. JMU in 2 weeks, when everyone was complaining about JMU and Tulane making it to the college football playoffs, generated $330 million in advertising. G6 playoff ain't going to cut that. You're not going to get it. That's going to be the JV squad. The JMU fans will watch, but that's about it. They certainly won't be getting all of those college football insiders, if you will, complaining about JMU and Tulane making it. We'll see how many people complain about Notre Dame making it this year. If they lose a couple of times, but they have a weak soft schedule, comparably so to others. Different episode of the podcast. So it is absolutely worth it. And that's what it is. May not be about winning a national championship. Different schools have different goals. Do they want to win a national championship? Of course. Is that likely? Probably not, to be honest with you. All right. Doesn't mean you can't have a goal. Let's see if we can get a win. Because somewhere along the way, you're going to get that. Somewhere along the way, a team is going to check out about, playing a G6 school, and the quarterback's going to be hot, and the defense is going to be hot, and all of a sudden they're going to be, you can even see the Power 4 squad up by 10, trying to put the game away. Goes 3 and out. Opposing team comes down, scores a touchdown, makes it a 3-point game. And all of a sudden, now the P4 team at home, by the way, is scrambling a little bit. Got to get that first down or may have to score. That's going to happen. You're going to get an upset somewhere along the way. Again, I've heard people say it's not heard people say. I know this would be really tough for a team to win 3 or 4 games on the stretch. It's going to be hard to win 3 games down the stretch. Meanwhile, 4. And in all cases, the team that's got more talent and maybe more rested. Because some of these teams, remember, if you're, in the Big Ten or the SEC or the Big 12, they all can't play for the conference championship. As long as we have those, we may not be having those a little bit down the road. But again, that's topic for another episode. And so just to get there and maybe win the ball game generates that. Could you imagine if they did win the ball game? What it would generate? Then you get it for another week. It'd be worth $500 million. I also looked up the enrollment, and I didn't see that listed anywhere as, kids are just checking in. So whatever it is now may be different what it is in a couple of weeks. The people don't last, whatever it is, whatever school it may be. It's just whatever the final enrollment is not posted yet. But I bet you the applications are up. It was almost 44,000 for 25, 26. I bet you it's going to be more than that for 26, 27. And that is why the G6 needs to be involved with the college football playoff, because it's that kind of money, right? That's what's not only are the teams paid, right? Like USC is paying the Cajuns to travel out there. Missouri is paying Troy to travel to Como, right? ODU is getting paid to play Va Tech. But if those games are on national TV, you get 3.5 hours of promotion. That's why the SEC has been so successful, and especially the SEC network and the Big Ten network. Now we're promoting ourselves. And so that's why sports, what it has done over the last 2 or 3 decades. I think they called it the Doug Flutie effect. I think it's the Nick Saban effect. But, again, for those who don't know, and I presume it's still the same, but maybe not. It's been gone for a few years. I did not realize, I lived in Alabama. I did not realize that Alabama has more out-of-state students than in-state. I didn't think that'd be the case. There's one reason for that. That's Nick Saban. That's it. All right. You can look at University of Florida, same thing. Steve Spurrier, growing up, University of Florida was not considered an upper end education. Now it's the best school in the state of Florida. It's the toughest school to get into. That's because of sports. Spurrier and Billy Donovan. And the baseball coach, for that fact of the matter. And so that's what sports has done. It feeds the beast and gives people a taste of what it's like to go to that school. Producer down at NSP from New Jersey decided to go to Alabama because it's 2nd and 26. I mean, I guess you could get any reason. They listen to him at Tennessee, and he ended up going to Alabama because 2nd and 26. I guess Tennessee lost out. That's what sports does. And that's why it's important for the G6 to be included in the college football playoff, because you can generate $330 million in advertising and over 1 billion impressions. G6 playoff ain't going to do that. It's just not going to do it. So that's really impressive. We'll see if we can find the video and maybe play it on a different episode of Locked on Sunbelt. All right. La Tech and ULM creating an I-20 Showdown rivalry. I love it. We'll talk about that right after I tell you about Game Time. There are more live events than ever worth seeing right now. Games, concerts, comedy shows, festivals. The hard part isn't deciding what you want to attend, it's actually getting the tickets. Between long wait times, confusing checkout processes, and surprise fees, buying tickets can sometimes feel harder than it should. That's why so many fans are turning to Game Time. The app is built to make buying tickets simple, upfront pricing, seat views before you buy, and exclusive saving opportunities that help you get to the events you want without the usual hassle. Honestly, I want to know exactly what my view will look like and exactly what I'm paying. Game Time helps you know those two things ahead of time. I can buy tickets with a lot more confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to every type of event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. One of the things that we discussed as La Tech was going to be brought into, it may have been the thing that we discussed about La Tech being brought into the conference, was rivalries. And you get it with ULM. You get it with the Cajuns, Southern Miss, maybe Troy, Arkansas State's not too far. But obviously ULM is down the road. It's about 45 minutes. I thought it was closer, but it's really not. Let me see here. Ruston to Monroe. Let's see what this is. Oh, it is 32.4 miles. So 34 minutes, barring traffic on I-20. So Ryan Ivey, AD of La Tech, and SJ Dewey, AD of ULM, announced the I-20 Showdown. And this is not just for football, which I love as well. It's a year-long competition with 12 sports involved, men's and women's. And I think that is awesome. And so it keeps on going, right? The amount of promotions you can do, right? The amount of times that you can go get a bus charter and bring the students to the other schools. Maybe we're going to go see, I don't know if he had a volleyball match or something like that. Maybe we do a little track and field, whatever the sports are involved. That's not just football, basketball, baseball, and softball. You're involved in 12 sports. Some of those Olympic type sports are going to be involved, and it's a great idea. And that can get the communities involved. And then you can always do something on the side of that. You can raise money for charity. So I think it's a great idea. It gets the start. They should have someone suggested a Governor's Cup between ULM, La Tech, and the Cajuns, but one step at a time. And it's just a good idea. And it gets them to promote each other. It gets them to promote the Sun Belt. You get a little bit of hate. I don't like that word, but I guess the good kind of hate, at least for a weekend. Well, I was going to say a weekend, but that's football. But it's all year long because I presume, the amount of people that commute between those two towns to go to work and to live. Crossing way over. You could live in one town and work in the other one. People live in Lafayette and, commute to Baton Rouge and vice versa. So I think it's a great idea. It's a good job by Tui and Ryan Ivey to get this going now as the seasons are kicking off. Soccer started first. I think ULM got a win in their first match. Not against La Tech, but just in general. So I think it's great. We need more of that. Do we have any? I mean, we got the belt. The battle for the belt is Troy and South Alabama. I don't know if we have anything between. Let me know if we have anything between the Cajuns and ULM. They should, but I don't think they do. And then the East has a lot more named rivalry games than the West does. There may have been something with the Cajuns in Arkansas State, but I don't think so. I mean, they had something between the Cajuns and Texas State, but that was the Bobcats can't beat the Cajuns. They never did. In football, they didn't beat them once. That's whack. Just whack. Is that a thing? Can you still say that? Am I too old to start saying that? But I just think it's a great idea. And the ADs should be congratulated. The marketing should be congratulated. And again, get the T-shirts, get the caps, get the merchandise out there. That's something we could have here right on on Locked On Sunbelt. And we need a cap. We need an I-20 Showdown cap. And I think they said they're going to put it up for a contest about the trophy. Who's going to win the trophy? Or the design of the trophy, whatever that's going to be. You would think you would get that. You would win that trophy. I don't know if that's going to be at the end. The problem is if you do it at the end of the school year, nobody's there. So you probably need to do it awarded like the beginning of the next football season. That's where you award it. Or maybe that game. That's where you could award it, because if you do it, at the end of baseball or softball season, very, very few people are going to see it at one of those games, and maybe the last game of the season. And when you clinch it, depending on how the schedule works out. So I would probably wait until the next matchup between La Tech and ULM on the football field. And you could do that. The home team. Well, it doesn't have to be the home team, depending on who wins it. No, I think that's a great idea. All right. Also a great idea, extending Skyler Meade and his contract and giving him a big fat raise for Troy baseball. We'll talk about that once I tell you about Kelshi. Before the season even kicks off, everyone's making predictions. Who wins the division? Who makes the playoffs? Who's lifting the trophy at season end? On Kelshi, America's #1 prediction market, you can trade those predictions in a live market. All right, so I looked at the Chiefs, and if they will qualify for the playoffs right now, they have a 63% probability of making the playoffs. So it's basically a $1.5 trade. You get payout about $155. You could do it the other way, though, and it's a 37% probability that the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, and that's 2.5 times. That's $255 it would pay out if they don't make the playoffs. On Kelshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position, trade the draft pick, the game, and more on Kelshi. Download the Kelshi app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 off, or to get $10 when you trade $10. Kalshi. Kelshi. Trade on anything. 18 and over only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kelshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see Kelshi.com/regulatory. May not be quite as easy as you think for the Chiefs to make the playoffs. All right. So news that doesn't have to do with football in the upcoming season. Kendall Rogers from D1 Baseball tweeted out, and might as well just read this, I guess, because that's easy. I did not put it up there, as maybe I should have. But he did put it out there. Let's see here. Okay. Sources. Troy Trojans baseball head coach Skyler Meade, who guided his program to the College World Series in 2026, is set to become the highest paid coach in the Sun Belt with a new 4-year contract extension that includes a 5th-year continuation rollover. In addition to Meade getting taken care of, Troy baseball has also made significant financial commitments in other areas as well. Associate head coach Ben Wolgamott is slated to become the highest paid assistant in the Sun Belt as well. That's a well-timed good 2 weeks for Skyler Meade and the assistant head coach. Because remember, this is not a team that had a very good regular season, went 29-27. They went 17-13, and then had to get themselves off the mat after losing a brutal ball game to Southern Miss just to get as far as they did in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, just to get into the NCAA tournament. and they took full advantage of that. Now, while the record wasn't good, the schedule did pay off, as difficult as it was. And we had Skyler Meade on with us talking about it. And he's a numbers guy. He's an analytics guy, telling the new AD at Troy we're going to play on the road more because those games count more. We have to schedule tougher, and we can play more SEC teams as we're coming back from road games and such. And that's what got him in, because they had a very good strength of schedule. And then we told you with Alex Dano, I said, they may not beat Miami or Florida, but they will not be intimidated. They did take one on the chin, right, to begin with. Let me see if we can find the game notes here, right? That's all right. Okay, there we go. Okay, right. They did take it on the chin to Miami, losing 10-5. But then they won 15-7. They had a big inning against Ryder. They had a big inning against Miami. They hammered Florida from the get-go twice, by the way, 16-11 and 10-2. And remember, that's the Gainesville regional. Then they got, they catch a break. That's okay. They got Little Rock at home for the Super Regional. They were able to beat Ole Miss in the College World Series. They did lose to West Virginia twice. So West Virginia, pretty good baseball team, had a really good season this year. They're tough. It's a tough lineup. And some tough pitching, by the way. Nonetheless, that's a solid. College World Series, that's 3 weeks. And the Sun Belt Conference, that's a great month, right? The first 2.5 months, February, March, April, May, 4.5 months, 3.5 months. My understanding is that there would be no math. 3.5 months, they're a 500 ball club, basically a 500 ball club. Like, their hottest part of the time was at the end of the season. Like, I don't think they won 5 in a row all year. I think they had 1, maybe 2 4-game winning streaks. I'm not kidding. They just could not put it together. And because of that schedule, and because of the never die attitude, and, Jay Boroff coming out of nowhere, right, hitting $150 and then going on a tear as we've never seen before, setting home run and I believe RBI records in the postseason. They kept on giving him fastballs. I don't know what we're doing. Skyler Meade gets extended. I don't know if he was up for he may have been plan B, right? For South Carolina, they went and got the Coastal Carolina coach because he's sitting there in South Carolina. It's an easy decision to make if those things worked out. Skyler Meade, remember, coached at South Carolina. So he may have been in the mix. But, they tie him up for 4 years. He gets a rollover year. I'd have to find out more on how that's going to work. Sounds like to me, he always has a 5-year deal. It rolls over all the time. Or it's always a 4-year deal. Let me read that again, Kendall Rogers. Let me see. With a new 4-year contract extension that includes a 5th-year continuation rollover. So I think it always rolls over. It's always a 4-year deal. Now that standard is set, if he goes back to if he does this again, right, and we know how hard it is. Has LSU missed? They missed it last year. They missed it 2 years ago, right? They missed it last year. But they also won it 2 years ago. Right? I guess when they didn't miss the NCAA tournament the year after they won it with Cruz and Skeens, right? After they missed it, they did win it. That was against Coastal. And then they missed the NCAA tournament this year. I don't think they missed it the other year. But nonetheless, that tells you how hard it is. LSU won the national championship and then missed the NCAA tournament. Forget about not getting to Omaha. They just flat out wasn't in the NCAAs. So, having said that, if Skyler Meade repeats this performance, all right, he will be the hottest coach in the country, and he'll get any job that he wants. All right. Wherever is looking to hire Skyler Meade, Troy will not be able to compete. Maybe they just keep that associate head coach, whatever the case is. If that happens, right? It's kind of the good and the bad. All right. Troy doesn't want to lose Skyler Meade, but they'll take a second trip to Omaha in back-to-back years. In fact, he may not even have to do that. If he gets back to the NCAA tournament, wins a Sun Belt Conference championship, gets back to the NCAA tournament, and maybe a run to a super regional, and he'd still be a hot commodity. He doesn't have to get back to the College World Series. If he does, he's going to be rumored to go anywhere and everywhere. So, still waiting, and I would hope, along with the I-20 Showdown cap, that will gladly accept. I'm going to need the Jabe Ruth t-shirt. All right. No, I haven't forgotten about that. We need somewhere along the way, he's going to have a t-shirt that says Jabe Ruth, right? Which hopefully he gets most of the profits. I just want the shirt. Well, the profits would have been nice, but I'll just take the shirt. All right. Or a cap. All right. Jabe, I don't know if I want a Jabe Boroff cap. That doesn't make sense. But a Jabe Ruth t-shirt, absolutely. Just have him with a swing and can just say Ruth in the back. One of his big home run swings. So there's that. All right. So congratulations to Skyler Meade. By the way, I presume he already came home to visit. Again, for those who don't know, he's from here in Louisville, went to Louisville, and grew up across the street from where I live in that neighborhood. And so he's very familiar with the Dairy Castle. All right. Okay, Mr. 4-year extension with a 5th-year rollover. You can get me the Dairy Castle. All right. I'll pay for toppings, but I'll take you can buy the Dairy Castle with a contract extension and big raise. All right. Congratulations, Coach. That is tremendous news. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, be on the lookout. Next week, we're going to rank the coaches Monday and Tuesday. We're going to rank the coaches for the East and the West. All right. And those are going to be the episodes that we're going to try and promote and see if we can grow the channel just a little bit. All right. I don't even mind telling you. So I don't even know how it exactly works, but those are what do they call them? The evergreen episodes that can play throughout the year. All right. Just like that disrespectful one can probably do it a lot. All right. Over the next few months. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll be back again on a Thursday with another episode of Locked On Sunbelt. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a great Wednesday, everybody. We'll talk to you again on Thursday.